Interstate 480. Yeah, specifically Cleveland's 480. Alright, so this is our first time.
Down in Ohio, swag like Ohio.
Yep, had it further up. So you see 480 is basically a bypass of the Ohio Turnpike. And that red tip is 480N, which we'll talk about today. You're watching Super Reviews. If you guys aren't sub, we sub because we're on the road to 1,000 subs. And speaking of that, at 1,000, we'll be opening up a Discord server. Last time I checked, I think we're at 730, so we're making progress. You can put your exit requests or your intersection in the comments, and our future highways will be on the community page. Speaking of that, we got some more DC content coming to you on Thursday with 270 and 395. Alright, we're going to start our trip and go eastbound on 480. So our beginning of 480 is on 80, and we're signed for 40 east for Cleveland, which is the correct choice, although you won't have gone off at 90. Here's our toll booth to leave the Ohio Turnpike, which is, I don't know, the Pennsylvania Turnpike are the only ones that still have toll booths. And we start right here. I think we're getting on like Ohio 14 or something. And we get our first exits, and we're on 480 east for Cleveland, which is the correct choice. And we see this applies to the interchanges. We get 480 east still for Cleveland. Looking at another interchange, we're still staying to the bits. We have 480 east for Cleveland, which is still the correct choice. We meet I-71 for Cleveland and Columbus. So now that we have our Cleveland exit, we're now on 480 east for Youngstown. Good. And you see on 71, we do get 480 east for Youngstown. So that's still good. But however, we're now switched to closed N. Wonder what that's about. Well, I'm kidding. This is just construction going on, so we can go on it. But we meet US 42 here. We're still getting Youngstown. And also speaking of US 42, we'll probably get to that soon. And here is US 42, the bridge that crosses over 480. And then we meet I-77 now, but first we have to get to 176 for Cleveland. We're still getting Youngstown, which is good. Here's the real 77 junction, south for Akron and north for Cleveland and Akron. So you could get to Akron on both ways? That's weird. But on 77, we do get Youngstown still. So it turns out we're going to be on Youngstown for basically the rest of this road. And see, this applies to Pulfers. We get 480 east for Youngstown. Good job, Ohio. And we're going to be meeting 271 north for Erie and Warren, and south is for Youngstown. We're actually going to follow 271 north to go on 480N. Here's that specific split. East 480 for Youngstown and north 271 for Erie and Warren for US 422. Here's 480's ramp and 480N's ramp. And then we get north 271 to I-90 for Erie. Good job. And then on this 480N road, we just get 271 and 422 for Erie. If you're going to put 422, put Warren on there. And then here's the express lanes for Erie and local lanes for Harvard Road. And then 422 east for Warren. Here's the local lanes exit for 271, and we're on 422 east for Warren. So we'll talk about 422 in a different video. Instead, we'll continue on 480's real road and be concurrent with 271, which I think is the only 3-digit concurrency. And this concurrency we're signed for nothing for 271 and 480. Well, this is a short concurrency anyway. And we're going to leave 271 south for Columbus, and we're now signed for Streetsboro for 14 and Youngstown for 480. And see, we're still getting Streetsboro and Youngstown. Streetsboro, I think, is where 480 ends, so it's fine as a secondary, but not as a primary. And you see, we go into a different carriageway. We're going to be on this for like another 2 or 3 miles before we leave 271 itself. And 2 or 3 miles later, we finally cross over 271, and we're going to become just 480. And then it's pretty rural east of 271 as we're leaving the Cleveland metro area, so that's weird. And at interchanges in this part, we are assigned for Youngstown still. So not just Streetsboro, but we're in Youngstown. Good. And then we're going to end right here. 80 for Youngstown Toledo. And we're 14 ends 480 for Ravenna. That's cool. And then we get a toll proof in order to get on 80 because it's 80 Ohio Turnpike, obviously. And then our choices are Toledo to the west and Youngstown to the east. Alright, that concludes 480 East. And we'll now be talking about 480 West. Alright, so our start is on 80 again. So we get 80 West Cleveland and 480 for Cleveland and Streetsboro. Cleveland's the faster route to get on 480, and 80 should be signed for Toledo at this point. And our choices are 14 East for Streetsboro and Kent for Kent State, and 480 for Cleveland. Good. And do cross over to 80, we could see 80 signed for Youngstown, 480 for St. Control Cities as West. So good job there. And then random interchanges were signed for nothing. So wonder why they don't do Cleveland and Youngstown here. And this poll ruins it, but we do get 480 West for Cleveland, which is still the correct choice. Good job there. And we do get some beautiful scenery in the eastern suburbs of Cleveland. And we're going to be joining 271 here, 271 North to be specific. If you were to go on 271 South, you won't stay on I-80. And then in this concurrency, this is in Bedford, Ohio. And we're still signed for nothing. So no Cleveland, no Erie, none of that. Here's our split, 271 North Erie and 480 West for Rockside Road in Cleveland. So that's a bit weird. We'll go back on 480 N. We get 40 for Cleveland and Toledo, 271 North for Erie, 480 East, 271 South for Columbus. Perfect. Here's 271 North here with some nice, fun bridge panels here, which is pretty cool. And we're on 480 East for Columbus and 480 West for Cleveland and Toledo. So good to sign both, but some reason we're signed for Toledo now. So Cleveland just magically disappears. Okay. And we get Lee Road coming up. I always thought that was funny, right there with that Lee Road. And then we get cool sign with 480, and I think this is the only interstate to have a N, S, E, or W right here in Cleveland. And then at the end of that, we were signed for 480 Toledo. So Cleveland is gone. So we couldn't find the correct exit to get to Cleveland. But here will be the best exit to get to Cleveland, I-77 for Cleveland and Akron. Now this is the correct choice to sign Toledo here. And we get these weird plants here just outside of I-77. And we do get some cool old bridges here at this 480-77 junction. So this is what we started with. It's cool. Jumping ahead of 71, we get south for Columbus, and we get the Cleveland Airport coming up, which is cool. And 480 West Toledo. On I-71, we get 480 West for Airport in Toledo, which is where we're heading to. East for Youngstown, where we just came from. Here's that airport exit, 237 South for Airport in Berea, and 480 West for Toledo, so no secondary here. Here's a look at the Cleveland Airport. So fortunately, we won't be able to see any planes here for some reason. And then random interchanges around 480 West for Toledo. So good job there, Ohio, or ODOT. And at pull throughs, they do stick with this. 480 West Toledo, while we get our exit for Westlake. And then here's our exit for East 80. Obviously, we're not getting Youngstown because we both came from there. And then West 80 for Ohio Turnpike in Toledo. And here's our split for Ohio 10 for Oberlin and Norwalk. And we're following 40 West to 80, Ohio Turnpike in Toledo. And here's where we end. I skipped the toll booth and we're on 80 West, heading toward Toledo, Chicago, Salt Lake City, and San Francisco. Alright, let's go on to the way it should be for I-480 in Ohio. So east, I go Cleveland until I-71, and then Youngstown the rest of the way, which is cool and what they do. And westbound, I go Cleveland and stick to Cleveland until I-77, and then Toledo after I-77, although airport till 71 is fine. Alright, if you didn't see the Cavs, you know they're a really good team, so the Celtics are probably not going to have a great chance with them, but I hope they still beat them, and we'll talk about these